Say your name again, please.
Traveller Adams.
Traveller Adams. Do you mind if I post your full name?
Yes, you can.
Okay, no worries.
Don't mind at all.
Tangy Blitz.
Yeah, alright. When did you actually... Oh, again?
Hello, I remember you.
Yeah. Chris, wasn't it?
Yes. I can't remember your name though, sorry.
Daniel.
Nice to meet you, Daniel.
When did you actually start coming to the Adelaide Occupy movement?
I've been in the camp for about a week and a half now.
Yeah.
I had watched from across the park bench when they moved here. For a week before that, I'd watched over there from the bike rats. I commented quite a bit on Facebook. They all came to know my name from Facebook.
Yep.
Because I bitched and carried on from, about this movement, what it stood for.
On the Facebook site?
Yeah. Because all I know, it was all just bitching and carrying on, and they were on the back of this corporate greed thing.
Yeah.
This is sort of really hard to explain. I've done it for so many people and I had to explain it. The American movement started for very different reasons. The global financial crisis started from the subprime mortgage loans crisis. The middle and low class income earners over there, they're hurting. Very different reasons. It was half a world away, and I found that this movement jumped on the back of the American movement. And I find in general that Occupy is jumping on the back of every little last thing, like the Arab Spring. Whatever pops up around the world, it's jumping on the back of. It's not setting its own, it's not its own merits. I said to them, they've got to get off the back of this movement and they've got to fucking start thinking like, I should stop the language actually. Sorry about that.
Doesn't
We're
matter.
going to edit this and edit the language out.
Just keep going, sorry.
If you wanted people to get behind this, because there was never really numbers, like over there they had 25 tents at one stage. I think the count went up to 27.
Were they occupied tents or empty tents like props?
No, a lot of them, most of them were occupied. There was quite a lot of people. I think one night I counted 50 people over there.
50? Look out for any
so at first they had the numbers, but then there was just so much infighting within the group. One group of people had certain ideals and the other half had other ideals, like much what's happened here.
So would you say there's been not really a clear mission statement?
There hasn't. Or they used the New York mission statement. That's all they did, and they changed
the New York mission
to Adelaide.
Statement. I heard there was one I saw on the website. There's one was going to be from Miami, I believe.
Really, I didn't see that one. I just saw the New York mission. That's what I was.
I think the research I did talked about a Miami mission statement.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was presented with the New York one. I knew straight away that was the New York vision statement, and they just simply changed the wording to Adelaide.
Right, because
I've been following this movement for some time. Something I was very passionate about personally.
A lot of mainstream reports out of places like New York and LA don't actually have. I mean, they may have because they don't have representatives. They may not have a clear mission statement for the thousands of people that show up. And you can see it's actually chaos. Which is largely a mainstream issue. You read a lot of blog sites and watch a lot of YouTube videos. You'll find it's all centered around the same stuff, which is anti-corporatism. Save the middle class, save the poor. 1% this and that and the other.
And that happened over in the States because the low to middle income earners were suffering.
Yeah.
I mean that the subprime mortgage loans crisis started all of this in America, where you ended up with just streets full of houses for sale. There was for sale, every second house for sale, for sale, for sale. And that's what really all started over there. Or it started 2 years before that.
You think it started the movement, or it started the?
It started the whole ball rolling that led to the movement because people were suffering and people got sick of suffering in the States. And
so
I can't remember the guy's name that started the actual Occupy movement in New York. I read about him, but this movement here anyway, I said that if you want to get numbers on the ground, you have to get in touch with the local issues. You have to touch the heart of the people. And I presented them with so many different ideas to go local, and they didn't want to hear about local. All they wanted to talk about was corporate greed. And if you want to bite the hand that feeds you, because not that I'm for the corporate businesses, but the more money they make, the more taxes they pay, the more it gets donated to charities.
I do believe I remember reading somewhere, I think it was one of those passed around Facebook quotes that anybody in the Occupy movement, it was what it was. Yeah, it was alright. It was a picture of the Occupy movement, and it had captions and arrows pointing to different people, like camera from Canon, and shoes from Nike, and sandwich from Subway or something like that, and they're all anti-corporatism, which is kind of the slope we have to walk on.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Well, how do you reconcile that with the corporate greed part of it? We all got to wear something corporate or use something corporate.
That's right. How do you get around? What are we going to...
Can't make our own clothes.
You know, well, no, actually, there are people like Kari from our movement. She's just started a community with 7 people where they're using all recyclables and sustainable energies, and starting their own market garden, and they're going to try to... It's almost like commune living, but not, because they've all got their own separate property in a street, but they're working together to try to live sustainably.
So it's community rather than community.
They're all going to quit their jobs, apparently, and live without money. And I would love to see this idea work, but all communes in the past have fallen apart in the end, because once again their ideas just haven't worked.
Well, no, I think I would disagree, but it's my opinion was that people get bored, people get lured back into money, and you have to exist outside of society in order to do that, because society runs on money. If you're going to live without money, you can't live in society.
That's right. You have to actually move away from society. I believe this is what they've done. They've actually moved away from society to a sort of rural area.
It can work, but you really do have to fundamentally change everything about you and not go back.
And they believe, I asked whether the people were involved, I said, do you really have that much of a belief that you can live together like that out of society without coming to some sort of conflict? And they seem to be all the same type of people that they can actually, if they have any conflict, they've got that 6 white hat system, where they sit down and go, well, let's discuss the pros, the cons, and they actually seem to make it work, this particular group of people. I sort of sat back and watched them and I thought, okay, I think they've got it worked out. But I'm anxious to see if it does work or not over the next 2 years or so.
Where else? I know you said you've only been in this camp for a week and a half.
Yes.
Where else has this movement demonstrated or protested, aside from...
So can you just repeat that first part?
Where else has the movement or other members of the movement demonstrated and protested since the movement started? I mean, has it all just been centred here in the park, or has it been any other location where they've shown up to flash mob or whatever?
Yeah, a few of them have gone into Rundle Mall for the preachers on the Friday night and protested against the preachers because the preachers invaded the camp. I'm not sure if you heard about that.
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
The preachers came from Rundle Mall with all their signs and preaching the hatred of the Occupy movement and all we stood for, and we actually have some
totally
gay
respecting
members
their
of Occupy. And
I would be surprised if you didn't.
Yeah, but of course the preachers are they preach hatred against the gays. I'm personally myself, I'm not gay, but I'm not homophobic. I don't have a problem with the gays.
Preachers preach hatred against a lot of things.
That's right, they do, and we didn't appreciate.
They don't practice their 10 Commandments. They preach them, but they don't practice.
Right. So we did not appreciate them coming to the camp. So now it's been a common practice over the last few Friday nights to go in there and give a bit back to them.
Okay, do you find? Have you considered that might be? How would I put it? Sort of going against a moral principle. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a revenge thing, just the way you described it.
One of the people in there, I went in and I saw what they were doing. A few of our members over the last couple of Friday nights, and I thought, I'm not for all the rules and choices. Because what happened in this camp, we had a certain segment of the camp trying to overrule everybody constantly, where we'd go to a general assembly and motions would get passed without the consensus of everybody. There would be 3 or 4 people, dissenting against it, and it would still get passed. Even so, we hold our hands up. We weren't getting hurt at all. And
have you
all along, we found out now in the past week there were 2 people working behind the scenes and inviting other people to a new movement going indoors, much like Wellington 2.0 or Occupy 2.0 Wellington rather.
And how's that work?
The council has offered them space, like 2 spaces. So to me, that's much like turning into a business. So going against everything that they stood for.
Right. Well, you don't see it as more just of a practical evolution.
Yeah, see, some people think,
you can't just stay on the street and protest. At some point, you've got to be heard at official levels.
Down in Wellington, again, the movement that went indoors, there was part of the movement that went indoors. And then there was another half of the movement that said, no, I'm sorry, this occupied. This is what it means. It means an occupation, being on the ground. And hell no, I won't go. I won't fight, but they can drag me away peacefully. I'm quite ready to be arrested for my cause.
Okay, well...
it's not all about occupation, but occupation is a big part of it, having tents on the ground, the numbers on the ground.
The visible public presence.
Visible public presence, and to get the word out there. And I had many ideas to spread amongst the local community. We came up with one idea to put a street team in Rundle Mall and Hindley Street on Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights. Because here at night the St Vincent de Paul food van is the last food van. Being homeless is an issue very close to my heart. Because I've gone hungry so many times. And I said to them, all it would take is going out and buying some cooler bags, boxes of spring water, some small things like chocolate chips, making some sandwich, and go out there and engage the public at the same time as helping the homeless. Offer them the freebie, and I'm sure then they'll give you the time to talk to you. It's all about getting your public image out there, and instead of just sitting here in a park, playing the guitar, singing songs, not really doing too much, and putting banners on the fence and having the public constantly come past and yell and scream obscenities at you. And we get every drunk person driving past on a Saturday night screaming out their window, get a home, get a job. They think we're a bunch of hippies. And most of the people here aren't actually hippies. They're people who are passionate about the cause. They just don't quite know which direction I suppose they should go. I hate to say like they need a leader, because it was never about leadership. But they need leadership badly to take them in the right direction, like what's left of the on-the-ground movement. And there's some really good people here, like the Jet behind me, and Brad. Brad's a long-time activist. Been around the traps for years. But no one seems to be willing here to take a stand. And as I've taken a stand, people have actually said to me, we're behind you. And something I've sort of been quite amazed at, that there are people here who want this to work.
So, what is the specific mission statement for the Adelaide movement?
Well, that's difficult at the moment because we've got the breakaway group, and now we're trying to figure out what we are as a group here on the ground. And
what was it before they broke away?
Before they broke away, it was much, like the mission statement is the New York mission statement. We stand against corporate greed and equity for all of that, spread the money and all that sort of thing. Take it from the corporate guy, all that sort of bullshit. But we also stood for Aboriginal rights. There's supposed to be a big rally up at Roxby Downs against BHP Billiton that a few of us are going to, but it was something that the whole group was originally to stand for, that we've got pamphlets for, where the Aboriginals aren't being paid the royalties for their land, basically. So that was, I suppose, one of the national issues we were about, but it wasn't, no one really followed any of the mission statement ideals. It has just been a group of people sitting in the park, playing guitar, having a good old jamboree fest, I suppose you call it. I don't quite know the word for it at this stage. But I came to this movement hoping that they would inspire me, because I actually came from Occupy Melbourne. A guy called Asher and Daryl, an Indian guy in Melbourne, pretty much started the Melbourne movement. And they're both homeless, and they started for the homeless. And it was always much bigger over there. That they actually got. So I said to everyone, I know it's not about civil dissent, but at the same time, if you make a stand and you let them come in and drag your weight and rip your tents down, it's going to get media coverage because you're being peaceful. I'm not resisting. Please drag me away. If you want to be brutal, like police brutality, fine, but that's just going to get media attention. That's going to get people behind the cause. We actually wanted to have a sit-in here at the intersection. We were going to go out there at 8 o'clock one morning and have a mass sit-in if we could get the numbers. And it would attract the media in moments. Just
in the middle of the road?
Yeah, at 8 o'clock in the morning when people are coming to work. It would bank up the traffic for miles, but we decided that it wasn't such a good idea. Probably more of an idea is to sit in on the steps of City Hall, basically.
Well, first of all, you'd have to invite the media and make sure they show up before you do it.
That's right.
So
we considered maybe just doing it for a few minutes, but it just wasn't long enough. We mostly agreed everybody wanted to do it for an hour.
Yeah. You wouldn't get away with it.
No, you wouldn't, but that's the point of it. Who cares about getting away with it?
No, I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it for an hour.
No,
physically, you'd be dragged away long before then.
Citizens would drag you away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People get out of the car and hit you, so...
Yeah, that's what we thought about. You have to think of the pitfalls about this sort of thing. So we figured a better way was maybe City Hall, Town Hall rather, where we're all going to go and sit on the steps of Town Hall and just occupy Town Hall. There was the other half of the group had the occupy the casino idea. I said really silly because that's a licensed premises. and you can't occupy licensed premises because they can have you removed immediately.
But you can stand on the footpath.
That's right, but they wanted to actually go into the casino and stop people spending money and putting money in the machines by talking to them.
No, it's private property.
Yeah,
and
that's
business,
right.
yeah.
So that can't be done straight away,
Stand out the front with signs and shout all you want, but that's all you can do.
And obviously their legal team hadn't even looked at this, but that's why I say there, because we've got a breakaway movement now, and this is something else we've got, the Christmas
Have you,
Keith is not here, Roger's not here, but all these people, Sandra, they all follow this half of the movement. They're all ready to get behind this.
Has there been any thought given to? I only mention this because I'm blogging for the Zeitgeist movement, but has there been any thought of connecting up or aligning yourself with the Zeitgeist movement, as it were?
Roger Roach, he's Zeitgeist. I believe Sandra is as well. There's quite a few members here who are Zeitgeist.
Okay.
And they're the ones who are behind this movement.
Are they likely to show up during the day or more at night?
Usually they do show up at the day, but sometimes it's been night. Roger was here yesterday morning with Sandra, but they sometimes just spend the nights here. But there are a few of us, like I'm on the ground here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When I leave, it's been for 3 hours at a time to go and collect some goods. That's it. I won't leave, tents or no tents, we're here. We're not going anywhere.
At what point does it seem like, I know everybody would have thought of this, but at what point in your mind will you quit this camp? What would have to happen to make you quit, or where would it have to go? I mean, stay here for like 5 years, or at what point in your mind does that point come along?
That would never happen, of course, that, because they will drag us out long before 5 year mark. But having a camp somewhere like 5 years, that's a fantastic. But look down in Tasmania. Look how long the camp's been in the forest down there. I don't know the years it's been there for. It's something I'm yet to visit and go down, but I've heard it's been.
We're not talking like an Ewok camp or anything up in the trees, but
I know. But you're aware of the camp down in the forest down there, but that would require a long-term, large-scale tent city to make it succeed. That the council couldn't come in with the police and simply remove in the public eye, because it would be too large to do in the public eye. But then again, look what happened with what do they call them, the Wanderers in England. I think they're a bunch of Irish gypsies, and they'd occupied a space of land for 30 odd years. That's just what I've been told about this one. I think they call them, they're nomadic wanderers, and they've just recently been evicted in England and dragged out of there. Basically, there was one guy I saw chained himself to a tree. They had to cut him off. But so there have been long-term occupations, but this isn't about a long-term occupation. And I suppose everything does have to evolve.
Has there been any thought given to a change of tactics in the Occupy? We're just sitting here doing this, like you were,
no, that's what we're
complaining about.
Now, originally I had all the tactics that I wanted to Occupy, to get out in the streets and connect with the people and integrate the homeless with the mainstream and Occupy with the mainstream, integrate everybody. And maybe, just maybe, if we can solve the small problems as a community, maybe it can be infectious in the other cities, and they can go, wow, look what Occupy Adelaide done, And that's simple things like getting out there and connecting people on the street and helping out the homeless and getting to the heart of the local issues. It's not just that issue, but there's many, many small local issues that you can solve easily.
Like such as?
Like the homeless problem. Most of them, it's not that they don't want to be helped, it's just that they've got too much pride and all they need is that little shove in the right direction. A week and a half ago, I got 4 guys here off the streets. All of them I took to either Red Shield Housing or the Housing Trust, and I didn't want to sort of push them and take them there, but they just need that little, when you sit and have a chat with them and you realise that they really don't want to be out here, and you say to them, hey, you can go and get food vouchers, and they know that, but they, for some reason, they just don't. They tend to stick to the same places like the food vans at night, and they don't visit the places during the day where they can get the real assistance, and it is out there to get off the streets. And it doesn't take too much to get them there. I don't know how to affect the pensioners. There's a lot of pensioners I've talked to recently who are struggling. They don't know whether to turn on their lights and aircon at night, because of that bill, and they're foregoing getting the medication for 2 weeks because they can't afford it. That's really saddened me, the fact that there are pensioners here in our city struggling. But unfortunately, this is on a government level, because people on pensions everywhere are struggling. But this could also be, I think the money's enough, but it's probably more rent's too high, and the prices of groceries are constantly rising. I think it's the consumer price index goes up and the pensions don't go up. Yeah, so there's many small issues that we need to solve here in our own country first, and this movement wasn't following those enough, in support of those enough. Like, we could really support a lot of things here, and the more that people support things in our own country, like if you can get 2 or 3 movements behind one issue, then you've got a lot bigger chance of solving that issue and getting the government to hear you. Instead of just one small pathetic little movement that the government really doesn't care about like this. No one cares. It's too small, it's not making enough noise, it looks like a shanty hippie camp most of the time. But, I really don't know. At this stage, we're just trying to find our feet again as a group. And I wanted to get a discussion going later today, which I tried to get going once already with the boys, about what their intentions were about when they got, why did you get into this movement and where did you hope it would go? And what are your intentions after this movement? Are they just in it to be part of the show? Just to say, oh, I'm part of Occupy Adelaide, or are they future activists in the making here? Are they extremists? What are they? I don't know. That's just what I'd like to know. I plan to spend a lot of my time now trying to be an activist, and I want to go to Rockview Downs, and I want to go up to Western Australia, and I want to get on the issues.
How do you plan on increasing numbers? Do you have any specific ideas?
I've been going out quite a bit out to the suburbs promoting this. I've so far managed to bring about 15 people here during the day individually, just to give them a look at it. People who didn't even know, because I find so many people out there still have no idea that Occupy even exists. Yeah. I went to the Salvation Army last week, the family store down in Victoria Square, and the elderly lady behind the desk, when asked, she said to me, she goes, "Oh, sorry love, I've never heard of it." And really, you've never heard of Occupy? Quite shocked.
I know people who don't even watch the news.
Yeah,
don't watch the news, don't read a newspaper, wouldn't have any idea of current events.
That's right.
That's just normal to them.
So when I go out in the suburbs and I take some pamphlets out with me, I try to look a bit more presentable in the public eye out in the suburbs, because I like to talk to a lot of pensioners especially, because they use a different tactic or a different approach for everybody. With the pensioners, it is all about the issue how they can't afford their medication or their electricity, and they're just too afraid. Because my grandmother, she's too afraid to turn her air conditioner on, because her bill. She doesn't want to run up a large electricity bill. She just can't afford it. She's living on next to nothing now, and I find so many elderly people are just scraping by, and it's just so sad.
Have you considered recruiting at schools over the summer holidays?
Yes, this is something I mentioned to them as well. We should be going out recruiting in places like
teenagers are very easy to manipulate, and if you just want to, flood the ranks, they're also very opinionated, but they're easy to convince. So
that's right. They tried to do that with the uni students down at Adelaide Uni, but the original movement here went about it the wrong way by going down there and basically having a small rally. With their little banners on sticks. That was never going to work. You need to get out there and get in touch with them.
Uni students like to think of themselves as smart. I should know I'm one of them.
They do. I've had quite a few. The other night I had a political science student come in, and I talked to him for about 2 hours, and he was the one that really pointed out to me, like, do you want to cut that hand that feeds you? Because once again, the more that businesses make, the more tax they pay, and that gets spread amongst the charities. For me, that's a big issue. The fact that money does some of it gets spread amongst the charities.
It's not
those tax dollars.
It's not so much corporatism that's bad to my mind, and I know that I'm interviewing you, but it's business practices that are bad. A corporation is. They will lie and tell you they're about their customers, they're about their planet, they're about people, it's all bullshit. They're about maximising profits for their shareholders.
That's right.
It's about making more profits this year than they did last year, and that's all they're about. And that's not evil, it's just business, it's just the way it is. And as soon as you understand that, you realise that's their motivation, and they will do whatever they can get away with to make that happen, because a corporation, while it's run by people, is not an entity. It's just a machine. A machine is not evil. A car can run people down, or it can drive you from A to B. An ambulance can run people down, or it can save lives. It's just a machine, and so is a corporation.
It's the practices of the people behind it. All these unethical business practices that are hurting people.
So the Occupy movement could, for example, not try to get rid of corporations, but try to create a situation where, by changing the laws or through public pressure and public opinion, change business practices so that they can't get away. One, different ways would be making everything totally transparent, so you can't hide the way you do things.
That's right. Yeah.
If you do that, then public opinion comes in.
Very much like transparent business practices. There'll be nothing better than transparent ethical practices. But unfortunately, there's too many greedy people in this world. It's just the big businessmen. Do you think Rupert Murdoch's ever going to want any of his personal dealings to be transparent? God knows what goes on behind the scenes there.
I think we're finding out in London, actually.
I must admit I caught a bit of Sky News last night, and they had the live feed of the phone hacking scandal. And I thought to myself, oh my God, what's coming out of the woodwork is quite amazing. Yeah. And still the denials that people are putting down are quite amazing. People saying they had no knowledge at all of it. I saw one again say that last night, that he still had no knowledge of the hacking going on. But, yes. What can I say? Anything else that you'd like to know?
That's pretty much it. That's a good interview.
Okay.
Thanks, mate.
I could go on all day long. When I speak more and more, the longer I go on, the better I speak.
Is there anything else you want to say? Because I might edit a video and upload it to my YouTube channel, and I might not.
The only other thing I'd like to say is, this ain't over. Not by any means, not by a long shot. If I have to, I'll buy tents myself and put them here up. I told everybody that, and I'll be arrested. I don't care. They can come and they can get me, I'll stand for my cause. That's what Occupy was supposed to be about, standing your ground. And there's a lot of people here that feel that way. And there's a lot of the older guys from across there who didn't agree with what was brought to you by supposed consensus about moving across here in the first place. You move, you're giving in. You sign a council permit, you're giving in. It's all gone wrong from day one with this movement here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to change.
One would think that a city with 1.1 million people in it, there'd be more than half a dozen people in the Occupy camp.
Yeah, but
this is Australia.
They went on from the beginning.
We're not getting screwed like a lot of European countries and the USA, I guess. We're not. We're a bit buffered here and protected.
They didn't need a leader, and that's exactly what they have needed all along. They've needed a bloody well leader. They need someone to take them in the right direction.
That's a leading council.
I never wanted to be like that towards them. I just wanted to join this camp, sit back and be inspired by their ideas, but they had no ideas, they gave no inspiration, all they did was fight. And it became clear that there are good people here, they just need somebody to follow. And they even did realise that. It was the ones that said they didn't need a leader were the ones that were secretly trying to lead. And look at what's happened. It's broken up.
So stand up and be a leader.
Yeah, it seems I'm the only person with any real balls here, and I don't know. It's always been a natural part of me. I want to lead something. I feel like I have a great destiny for some reason. I always felt like I had to see a psychologist recently, and he said to me, "It's a little bit weird that someone would say it's a little bit crazy, I believe my destiny is to truly change something. There's a lot of nut jobs out there like schizophrenics. I hate to label anyone, but people have all sorts of funny ideas. I've heard people call themselves all sorts of wonderful things.
I think most people would think that about themselves, or would want to think that about themselves.
But they don't stand up.
But would never say that.
But
it seems like a fantasy or an arrogant thing to say.
It does, and I hate arrogance. I hate arrogance so much.
I think the people who do the world's greatest things actually fail to think that. They think that they believe it and they go for it.
How I know I'm not arrogant. I give my money away to people here. I don't want it for myself. I don't care. The money out of the kitty we had from the Occupy kitty, I don't care who made these badges. If people are hungry here and they're on the ground, I'm going to take out that kitty and I'm going to give it to them. I've lived on the homeless in the streets for too long now and got too hungry, and made some really good family and friends out there. Yeah, that's why I don't like arrogance. It's a shocking quality. If no one else is prepared to make a stand, someone has to.